Okay, everyone, welcome to the Edward Hutchinson podcast. We are honoured today to be joined by Cesar, who actually we connected on Instagram, Cesar.
Yes.
Which is now the way that I'm meeting like the best people in my life is now through Instagram, which I'm really, really happy about. But anyway, guys, welcome to the Edward Hutchinson podcast. We are joined this Monday morning by Cesar, who is the principal of CAD Stoneworks, which I didn't really know that much about until I realised that literally so many of the properties on LA Mansion Tours that we visit,
Correct.
you have done work on.
Yes.
Which is kind of crazy.
Yes.
Because the amount of like our listeners out there who have probably watched some of these episodes and been like, oh my God, what is that marble floor? What is this like fireplace? And I feel like you're that like unsung hero who actually creates all this stuff, but doesn't get the big developer like, this is me doing the work kind of name attached to it. Correct. So Cesar, I've obviously given you a little bit of an intro, but maybe just give our listeners a background about who you are, how you got into where your company is now, and then we can kind of go from there.
Sure. Hi everybody. Thank you for calling me hero.
Absolutely. I remember a book as well, so I have to.
Actually, I remember that I came across LA Mansion Tours.
Really?
I was following you with the, that I was following you, and one time I told my wife, "Look, you gotta watch and see this. These guys are promoting the project that we work."
So
and you were saying like, "Oh, look at all these." Somebody who knows about art had to be doing this marble because book match stone, the veins were like following each other. So you're actually giving a big shout out for us without knowing.
I think we need to do more of that. Let's just post CAD Stoneworks work like constantly.
And I was just like mesmerized that you were doing that without even knowing who was doing the work. And then you connected with me, told me, you like to have a coffee and talk about it.
Well, I think it was hilarious because I remember seeing like maybe one or two comments on one of the posts, and I was like, "Oh, CAD Stoneworks, this looks awesome." Then clicked onto your account, and then like every post that you're going through, I'm like, "I've seen that house, I've seen this work, I've seen that." I was like, "Oh my God, this guy does it all." So
Correct.
So how is the company? How did you end up where you are right now as the principal of this company?
Well, basically, I used to be in the construction industries before the meltdown,
Okay.
recession in 2008.
More general contractor construction.
More general contractor, and I was involved on more trades as well.
Okay.
But I wasn't working in the areas of Beverly Hills, Bel Air, West Hollywood. It was just like more normal homes.
Still in LA though.
It's still in LA.
Okay.
Right. And then eventually, I moved into commercial, into a plumbing company that I still have some interest, but I'm not like actively as I used to do before. We used to do a lot of work for commercial sites like Fresh and Easy, Panera Bread, Enterprise Rent a Car.
And I presume all of the plumbing for that is almost a different level than your residential.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. It was more like on the commercial side.
Yeah, because you have a blockage in the plumbing there, and then it shuts the business down.
The whole thing.
So
it was
you have to be
more like an emergency 24/7.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
Which I didn't like that much either.
Fix the problem.
Yes. So I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't go get the problem fixed.
Yeah.
But I get the phone call.
Okay.
2 o'clock in the morning.
And then you have to make 5 other phone calls.
Yes.
Yeah.
By that time it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. You might as well just stay awake, right?
Yeah. We've been here for like 20 minutes, and he's already, I think, had 4 phone calls that he's had to take so far. So I'm like, okay, I understand that you must get a lot of those.
Yes, a lot. I actually had just like an architect, Paul from Stainer Architects.
Oh yeah.
Just called me. He's like, "Oh, you know what? Can you move with the appointment that we have today at noon for tomorrow?" I said like, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah, gives us 2 more hours of podcasting, guys.
Yes. Yes. So going back to how I started, then I had a colleague of mine that he was going to start working on a project in Beverly Hills, and he said, "Why don't you come over? I need somebody to help me out with like sales and to develop the business, which I'm really good at it." And we worked together for a couple of years, but then we had like differences in management. I was looking more for bringing value to the customer. Mm-hmm. And expanding the portfolio rather than keep it like a boutique company.
Kind of thing,
correct. I said if we can create a product and workmanship that we can give to the customer, then everybody must know about it.
Yeah.
So we parted ways. We still be good friends and call each other and do collaborations sometimes. And I started CAD Stoneworks at that point about 5 years ago.
So it's only been going for 5 years total.
Yes.
So all of you guys out there, it's crazy. Like, I think you're actually like, people should look at you as an entrepreneur more than like the stone guy kind of thing. Because actually starting a company that 5 years in has got the like list of clientele that you have and the projects that you're doing, like you can't do better really in LA. Do you know what I mean? Like there's not like a I don't know, actually, maybe there is. Is there any company that you look at and you're like, oh, one day I'm going to be at that level? Because I can't imagine, like...
Maybe on the selling part,
Okay.
there are a lot of companies that are selling, they're importing, materials like, granite, marble, and all that stuff. Maybe that's the only area that I need to add to the company.
Yeah.
To be at that level.
But no one's doing like...
But as far as service is concerned,
yeah,
I don't think so. I feel great. I think that we're one of the biggest ones in the area.
Yeah,
West LA.
Because literally, like, out of the ones that we've seen, if you're listening right now, like, Londonderry you did work on.
Yes.
You're doing work on the 500 million right now that's going up.
Right.
You've done work on Hillcrest.
Correct.
Which is currently 68 million.
68.
It was originally a bit more.
Yeah, it was a 100 million.
100 million.
Yes.
I mean, like, it's kind of crazy. And this one Bentley Circle.
Oh, that's getting so much attention.
I mean, like, because that's sold almost really fast.
Yes.
Because that was 48 million, I think,
40
listed.
million. Yes.
But, like, you can't really looking around at other stone companies thinking, oh, one day I'm going to work on projects of that scale, because everyone else in the world isn't building 48 million. It's
right.
not. I mean, LA's got expensive properties, but that's kind of crazy.
That's like the highest end. Yeah, and I think one of the things that got us there was that even though I started 5 years ago, you're right what you're saying. I feel myself, I'm an entrepreneur that happens to own a stone company, and hopefully I can add more to my portfolio.
So when you're like doing your day-to-day work, and sorry, I know I've actually got a load of questions here, guys, so like I need to try and remind myself to get to the questions because we're literally going to go off on so many tangents, which I think is awesome. But when you're doing the stone work in your business, is what element of the business are you enjoying the most? Is it actually like dealing with the customer, getting their kind of reactions, being really pleased with the entire thing and managing all of that? Yes. Or is it like the creative side of the stone, or I suppose it's a mix?
It's a mix, but it's more like with the customer.
Yeah.
Because I can translate their ideas to the artisans that are working with the stone, which happen to be my guys.
Yeah.
So I'm the liaison between, the designers, the customers, the homeowner, the ones, there's a specific material for their house, kitchen. And I believe I can connect what they're asking that they want for the project, to my team.
And actually
make it tangible.
Because I think that is what I always think is probably and from some of our discussions on the podcast, actually, people that work with some of these, not just developers, but end consumer who is building the house for themselves. Because they're thinking like, oh, well, I've got this in my head and this is what I think is possible. However, them relaying that to actually getting it done and created, it's like the artist. Right. Everyone says like, oh, you talk to the artist about their artwork or whatever it is. They're not necessarily in like the practical, this is what it takes to get it done. So you're basically that middleman who's like taking the artist's vision and then allowing it to be created by actually putting in the steps that allow that to happen.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And then moving to another point, we work with developers for these, high-end projects. And we also work with the end consumer, which is the homeowner. Yeah. And the differences that you have is that when you work with the developer, the developer has already a vision of their project. And they don't deviate as much as what they want. Yeah. Unless architecturally or structurally it's not possibly done. That would be like one of the reasons they will deviate, but most of the times they're already worked out.
Because I presume they probably hired an architect that they're paying significant money to, they've got renderings, they've kind of got that vision built out.
Correct.
But similarly, I suppose they probably are of the mindset where they want something and they want to pay as little as they can so they can make the most amount of money when they resell the property.
Correct.
So that's like, you've got one side of it, which is dealing with the developer, which is fighting the like spreadsheets and costs.
Correct.
And they've already decided what they want. But then I suppose on the end consumer, is that more like therapy?
Yes. It is more like therapy.
You could be a professional therapist.
We have when I'm working with a homeowner, we have that in mind. They start with one material, and we have gone to a point where like we install a kitchen, and once it's installed, the homeowner doesn't want it because he didn't have a vision of what he wanted at the beginning. And
at the price point and kind of what the wealth level at that point.
Correct.
It's not like, oh, I've just wasted a ton of money because you're going to rip it out and put a load of stuff in. It's, I want to do it right.
Yes. They're like, oh, you know what? I'm not feeling happy about it. I don't think that I can live here for the next 5 years looking at that slab, even though we picked it up. And I said, so what would you suggest?
How do you deal with relaying that to your guys who've just put a huge amount of time, effort, work into creating something, and then it's like, we're going to rip that out tomorrow?
It's really unfortunate. Yeah. And I can see their expressions, like their facial expressions when I tell them that. because they're really proud that they finished a project and then we're gonna move on to the next project.
Especially when it's in a house of that scale and they've
Yes.
done like, oh my god, this incredible stone.
Well, sometimes you got a $200,000 kitchen, incomplete, not just the stone, but the full kitchen. Sometimes 500,000. There was a time when we did like a Fendi kitchen, and it was in Homley Hills, and it was $500,000. It had alligator leather covering the drawers and everything. Obviously, that one we didn't demo.
I was gonna say, yeah.
But we go.
You have a whole cruelty to animals side
Yes.
as well. People are like, oh my god, you just destroyed this alligator's skin.
Right.
Yeah.
But we had cases where the kitchen is $250,000. Our work is 50 grand or 60 grand, and the owner comes and says like, we're not satisfied. You need to, you can help us demo it. And we picked up all their slab, and it's already at one of your suppliers' house. If you can just pick it up and add it to the cost, we don't have a problem with the money.
Do you know what I think is also massive about that is the way you're putting it across? Because I think a huge amount of contractors and people that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, as soon as the owner said that, they would take it as like personal offense. They'd be like, oh, what are you saying? My work's not good enough or something.
Right.
Which I think is incredible that you just turn around and you're like, what you say matters, therefore, like, I'm not going to have an issue with it, we'll just demo it and redo it, because, I mean, there's a huge amount of contracts I think you would turn around and be like, no, I'm not doing the work, you can just pay my bill and I'm off.
We have found cases like that where, like, the homeowner will call us, and then we'll go and demo some other work, somebody else's work, but not on the basis that it's a faulty work, it's just on the basis that the contractor didn't want to do it again because they think they came across about therapy.
Like, oh, and then, what if this happens again? I suppose their heads like, this could be non-stop.
They just don't want to take the risk that the next time they might get into a situation where like they're being blamed that wasn't right. And we usually get there, and I think that's like what differentiates the company CAD Stone from other competitors or other companies out there. I don't pay much attention who's my competitor or who's not. We strive to do the best and get better as comes, as the day goes by, as the time goes by. We just better ourselves. If we can better ourselves, with time and be the best we can then we are our own competitors.
But then that's such like the long-term successful person vision. So there's so many people who have that like short-term, like, oh, that guy's doing more business than me, what can I do to like screw that guy over because I want his business, as opposed to I'm just going to show everyone I'm the best, in 20 years it's going to play out.
Right. And you know what, contrary to that belief that a lot of people have, like, I want to screw this company, or I want to do better than them, I look at the other side. I look at collaborations. So there have been times when I call a competitor and tell them, you know what, I had this job. I know that you're the perfect fit. I'm holding the contract, but I have a couple things that I would like to give it to you. I already talked to the owners, I already talked to the developer, and I like to do some collaboration with you. And they're so happy because they're thinking like, can't believe this guy's calling me to give me work. Or to provide, for my guys to work. And then that turns out to be like a good relationship. Sometimes it has happened, a couple times it has happened where like it has turned to be like a friendship.
Really?
And nowadays, if I, there are a lot of people that have been in the industry for 20 years, 30 years, and they have gotten to the point where I am in 5 years. And sometimes I call them because they do have a little bit more technicalities sometimes, and I call them and I ask them, and they like me because I have brought value to their companies as well.
And if they need help with a project in the future, who are they going to call?
Oh yeah.
That's such a big true thing, because I think there are so many people who are worried about like they're on the defense,
as
opposed to just being like there's a huge amount of opportunity here. Let's all be nice to each other. Let's just like put goodwill out there. It's like karma. It's
karma. The pie is so big out there that anybody can have a piece of the pie.
It really is.
Yeah, and I had done that. Last project we have it on Canon. One of the projects that we have on Canon. I had 3 projects on that street.
So you've got 3 projects on a street. How do you manage that? Because presumably you've got the same guys doing work on each project, but at different stages, different times.
Yes, but I put a crew actually in this case. I put a crew on each one. On each one.
Is that a better way to do it?
Yes.
Because I suppose otherwise people are getting confused about which project you're talking about. Have you done that on this? And they're like...
And then the customers get a little confused. I see guys walking in, walking out. So I have a dedicated staff crew for each of the projects, and one supervisor for both of them, because he has it's literally like walking distance from one project to the other one.
How are you ever in the position where you've just got too much work? You know what I mean? If you've got 3 projects on Canon, I suppose that's amazing, but 3 different groups and teams.
Right.
And then what happens if you've got 2 more people on Canon who are like, oh, that guy's doing amazing work? Like, how can you scale like that? Because you need guys on the ground.
Yes, and you're hitting a really good point, because right now there's a lot of demand.
Yeah.
And there is the kind of workmanship that I'm looking for, like good, excellent, I would say, craftsmanship.
Yeah.
It's not out there, and the one that is already there is already
been taken. And in a huge demand.
Correct. So usually what I do is that I try to do collaborations to finish my project faster. Okay. And sometimes I do talk to the customer, to the developer. Listen, I'm going to be out of this project in 3 months, in 2 months.
Yeah.
Can we look at some term where we can, meet your demands or your deadline?
Yeah.
Or you know what, I can bring 4 guys. What you want is just going to actually take 1 month, and I can put 4 guys, and we can knock it down. By that time, I'm going to get my crew and bring the whole crew from the other project. And usually we meet, we meet in the middle ground.
How do you stay on top of this? So, like, you wake up on a Monday morning, you've walked into your office, not into the podcast area right now, but how do you track all this? Do you have an Excel spreadsheet? Do you have, like, because I'm fairly organised, but I can just already see that I would absolutely, like, I'd jump off the bridge and I'd be like, what is going on?
I know, it can be overwhelming.
And I suppose you've had 5 years of it building up,
yes.
So that's kind of helped you build those management and the arrangement of all of that out.
Yes.
But, like, how do you track things?
Well, it goes back to the team. I have a great team back the back office. They help me so much. Okay. One of them just tracks all the progress. Every single week on Wednesday at 3:30, most of the times, I would say like 95% of the times, we have a meeting at 3:30 at our offices in Sherman Oaks with every single leader or supervisor, foreman from the project. And we go in detail on as far as what is needed, the progress of the project, what can we do. And I became organized as time went by, as a matter of fact.
So you weren't born like this?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. To know. I actually was on the other side of the spectrum.
Okay.
I had many businesses in life, and I had a lot of failures, and I hit myself on the wall. And I guess that brings a lot of experience.
Yeah, you learn from your mistakes.
I learn from your mistakes rather than taking it as a failure. It's like, what can I learn from my last mistake? And I guess that has made me grow as a business person. And I think that has made me the person who I am, the businessman who I am, and that I bring, much more value to the table than other companies.
Okay, yeah.
And my day, a regular day for me starts, I incorporated this about 5 months ago. Okay. I woke up at 5:40.
5:40 every day?
Every day.
Not Saturday and Sunday though?
Saturday at 6 and
my God, so you give yourself a 20-minute lie-in on a Saturday.
And Sundays I'm up by 7. I have 2 beautiful kids, 3 beautiful kids. One is 18, is out of the house, he's already studying in college, his dorm, he wants to be independent. Yeah. And then the other one is 6 years old. He usually sleeps in.
I was going to say, is that what's led to you being out that early? Is now you've got your 6-year-old?
It's my 2-year-old.
Ah, right.
Yeah. She wakes up, she goes to sleep really early, and she's like a early riser.
Because they always say that, because my wife and I haven't had a kid yet, but we're thinking about it, and it kind of becomes a situation where, do you get one of the early riser screaming kids? Do you get one that sleeps really well? I think there's a huge variety, isn't there?
Yeah, it's so funny because you have the same principle, the same discipline to these wonderful kids, and they're different. And they have a personality of their own. So it happens to be my 2-year-old girl, Sophia. Yeah. She's the one that...
She's the princess.
Yeah, she likes to go to sleep early, and she wakes up in the morning. Not crying or anything, but she goes and pulls that blanket. Daddy,
what are we doing?
Yes.
Where are we going? Can we get some breakfast?
With that in mind, I used to be a night owl. I like to work at night and do my thinking at night. But then she would wake up really early.
So it's like being on jet lag almost, your entire scheduled shift.
So I made a decision, I said this can't go on any longer, I'm not going to be able to handle. So I switched going to sleep earlier and waking up at 5:40, and I started with half an hour of reading. And then after
Before you go to bed?
No, in the morning. In the morning? When I wake up, yeah. It's like a routine, like a ritual that I have.
What kind of things are you reading?
I read motivational books. I'm going to be reading the book that I just brought you, On the Other Side of Surfing.
Maybe I need to start doing this. I need to call you. We need to set up a thing where I'll call you at 5:45. We're up. Let's read our book.
There is a book that I was given as a present by Albert Preciado, and he gave me the book Principles by Ray Dalio.
I've heard of it. Yeah,
And it tells you how how to operate an organization, how to bring these principles into your life to make life easier and more organized.
Yeah.
So I decided to do that because I needed to give that edge.
Yeah.
To what I was doing, and I'm implementing some of those principles in the company, and it's working.
Do you find that like when you wake up, you open, because I'd find that really tough, and I think it's maybe just because I'm not a reading kind of guy. You know what I mean? I find it very easy to consume video content, audio content. Reading, like I read a ton, but it's kind of, I don't know where it is. It's almost, I don't know, in my head I'm like, I don't really want to pick up a book to do it enjoying, because if you're in contracts, like you probably are. But do you wake up in the morning, open the book, and in that moment, like as you're reading it, you're getting more ready for the day and like motivated to get out and kind of go?
Correct.
Or?
Sometimes I also, if it happens that that I don't have that much time, because I need to do things for the business, emails or anything in the morning, I also listen to podcasts.
Do you?
Yes, while I'm working.
Is that been a more recent thing, or?
Yes, that's more recent. I didn't do it before, but now with social media taking over, which I think this is the direction where this is going.
Definitely.
I'm trying to incorporate that.
And I suppose the only advantage that I really see with podcasting and why we've kind of started doing more longer form, because actually last year I was just doing little daily updates, and so I'd release it each week. Like, what did I do on a Monday? And then I'm like, it's the same stuff every week, is little differences. It gets a bit boring. Whereas people can multitask when they're listening to audio.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? You can drive, you can't drive and read.
Right.
You can drive and listen to a podcast.
No,
so it becomes,
great.
Yeah, you can almost do twice the work if you're able to listen to something while you're doing stuff.
I like to incorporate more exercise and then maybe do that podcast while you're listening, you're doing your exercise.
Yeah, although you can, I suppose, run and on a treadmill and read, but that's probably quite difficult.
No, with the reading, you can't.
So you set your alarm goes off at 5:45, or you just naturally wake up at 5:45?
5:40. Nowadays, I find myself waking up like at 5:30.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yes,
that
it is. It is.
I think it might almost be an LA thing as well, because I remember in London, I was that nocturnal person. Like, I would go to bed at 2 a.m. every morning, kind of wake up to go to work at like 7, get changed really fast, just go. And actually, like, now I'm waking up naturally at almost like the sun's coming up at 6, I'm kind of up, and then I don't know what it is, maybe it's just a different climate, temperature, but...
The vibe, the LA vibe. Yeah, well, in my case, I used to be like you. I used to go to sleep at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I wake up and I felt like a little bit dreaded, trying to get the engine going and everything. And then with my little one waking up so early, I said like I had to do something because I'm getting worn out.
Definitely.
And so I changed that now. I go usually to sleep at 10:30, and then wake up.
And do you kind of purposefully do that? Or you just find yourself naturally? You're like,
I started doing it purposely, like a habit, like acquiring the habit, because I was not a morning person.
Yeah.
But nowadays it feels really good because I can wake up early.
Yeah.
I can attend some of my emails, get a lot of the things like paperwork and emails, estimates, get ready in the morning before I before I even start my day, I already started. I accomplished so many things.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel positive about the day.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm winning the day.
Because that's something at the moment, I always think like on Saturday and Sunday, I'm like, I'm going to smash this week. It's going to be a big one, kind of get that real like, next week's going to be awesome. I've got this lined up. Sometimes I'll wake up on that Monday morning and I'm like, oh, I just feel a bit tired. You know what I mean?
Yes, it's difficult sometimes.
So I'm in my head, well, the reason I'm like asking you so many questions about this is because in my head I've been thinking about that. Like, if I could nail that morning process down, then it's almost like why people meditate or whatever it is. You're in the space where you're going to be the most efficient that you possibly can to achieve the goals that you really want to achieve.
Correct. And that's one of the main reasons I did that change. I was reading a lot about, mindset, discipline. And I think that I was always trying, but I wasn't trying hard enough. So I would do it 2 days out of the week, and then I wake up at 6:30 and get my day going, which is still early.
Yes. Yeah, most people out there are like, oh my god, 6:30. Like, I'm never up at 6:30.
Right. But I get some of my guys calling me like at 5:45. Oh, we're gonna do this, or the materials that we ordered didn't arrive. So what are we gonna do on some of the projects? Because most of the projects I have like a supervisor, but sometimes they don't have any signal, so they cannot communicate. Yeah. So as soon as they cannot communicate, they call me. And before it was really tough because I hear the phone at 5:50, 6 o'clock, and I'd be like, okay, what do you want? Can I help you?
I'm in bed, just make it quick, okay. Fine.
Nowadays, I'm sharing, and I get a phone call, like, you know, when I talk to them, sometimes, you know, I send them emails or texts at night, you know, on things that maybe the client was able to talk to me, but I wasn't able to talk to them, and I didn't want to disrupt their weekend or, you know, give them a call at night. So I send them an email, and then in the morning, in the morning they tell me, it's like, hey, Paz, you went to sleep at 11, and I'm calling you at 5:45, and you're awake. Do you sleep? I was like, yeah, I sleep, you know. That's another thing, that I try to meditate like 10 or 20 minutes before I go to sleep, so that I can fall in that.
Because I've been thinking about getting into meditation, and like it seems to be more and more and more. Like every day that goes past, it seems like meditation's almost the next yoga or whatever it is.
Right.
When people are looking at like their well-being as an individual, it's now becoming more mental and not just physical.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And I think it has helped me achieve a lot of the short-term goals that I wanted to achieve.
Yeah.
Because I'm seeing results. Personally, with me, like I was telling you before, I used to dread, you know, like getting out of bed and stuff like that. Even though I did it, but now it's more like it's less as if I was looking forward for the day rather than reacting to the day.
I see.
You know, being reactive, planning your day ahead of you know,
actually
1 day
starting.
or the whole week now, you know, and that brings, I think, a lot of motivation.
Yeah.
That you're actually being able to accomplish it.
Definitely.
You know, and it keeps you inspired.
What about kind of, and don't answer this if it's too personal, but like alcohol drinking and stuff like that? Do you kind of think, okay, well, if I'm going to like drink and have a good time, I'm doing it on the weekends? Because that's what sometimes I find is almost with our job, a lot of it's networking.
Right.
And so I'll go out with a client on a Wednesday night, and then I'm having a couple of glasses of wine and a dinner with them.
Right.
And it gets to like 12 o'clock, and then I wake up the next morning, I'm like, whoa, that went a bit. In fact, I had one last week, I'm not going to mention the name, but yeah, it was kind of, you know, after dinner cocktails, and then I'm thinking, wow, this has killed my next day.
Right.
Do you drink all the time? Do you try and like make that controlled element of like when you're working, you're not, and that kind of thing? Or
I try to do it, but I think also the industry that I'm in, it's an industry that, you know, we get going at, you know, we get to the job sites at 7.
It's so much.
So it's so much early, whereas maybe what would be like a regular day for
That's
you?
the thing for me, because I'll wake up in the morning and I'm actually working, but mostly on social media. I'm just like putting that stuff out. So, but I'll get into the office by 8:39.
Yeah, so it's a little bit. You have a little bit more leeway on that.
Definitely.
On that sense. But in the construction industry, you know, it's like everything happens in the morning.
Yeah.
The most productive hours for the team are in the morning.
Yeah.
So I knew that I had to change it if I wanted to make it more productive.
Okay.
And going back to the question that you had, I tried to do it on the weekends. But if I'm gonna do it, because I do have a client sometimes, like they invite me, or they say like, you know, I got like some fight tickets. This happened on this last time. One of my suppliers called me and said like, I got 2 fight tickets to road. Would you like to come? Thank God it was Friday.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So on Saturday, when that happens, I try to plan ahead.
Okay.
So that if let's say it's a Thursday that I'm gonna go out, but then. And I'm gonna have some drinks, but then on Friday I need to wake up early. I try to accommodate everything. I'll get one of my right hand men, you know, supervisors, tell them, listen, this is what's gonna happen. I'm not gonna be active that in the morning. And I give myself, you know, that time to recuperate, to be better, to get positive again,
Back up to any standard, and then
to get the energy back. But it does happen, you know. But I the only thing is that before I used to do it, and then I'll try to wake up in the morning, and I had like a horrible day. Whereas now I plan ahead.
It's obviously you're learning from mistakes.
Yes,
You've done it in the past.
Yes, and if I'm going to go to sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, then I give that time to get a good time sleep as well.
Okay.
And that day I may not, cheat that day of not waking up early. But I know that it's for my own best interest to be productive.
And that's good to hear, because I think there's so many people who, at the start, when we first started chatting, it's like, oh, well, he's done that in 5 years. He must be like, probably like doing a detriment to your own physical and mental health. Because to achieve that in 5 years, most people are like, oh my God. But it sounds like you're actually like, okay, if I'm going to have that night, I'm planning for the next day in a way where you're like, again, in that long mindset of like, this is going to take just step, not let's sprint and then, oh my God, what have I done kind of thing.
Yeah, it did happen for the first 3 years.
Okay, right. Okay, that's good.
I took a detriment on everything.
You learned from that mistake.
I sacrificed a lot time with the family, Saturdays. Sundays we will have some jobs that we will work from 7 to like 10 o'clock at night.
Wow.
because the client was demanding that we finish by a certain date. And it's all. I believe on hustling and on working hard, but more than just hard, smart as well. Especially nowadays, I think that long are gone the days that you just have to work hard because there are a lot of people out there that work really hard, but how they achieve their goals. That's another thing.
It's got to be working in a focus
Is it
point.
what you're doing getting you closer to your goals?
Yeah.
And sometimes just working hard doesn't get you there. So you gotta plan, you gotta be strategic about it. You gotta do collaborations with people that are gonna get you there closer, and also take care of the people that you surround yourself with.
100%.
You surround yourself with losers, well, you're gonna end up being a loser.
So true.
If you surround yourself with professional people, people that maybe have been on the same situation and can give you advice on how to get there faster,
or done something you respect, and actually, you kind of think, wow, I want to ask them how they did that and what they.
Right.
That's always an amazing thing, because I lived in London, obviously born and raised there, moved here 4.5 years ago. One of the biggest shifts in how people day to day interact with each other I ever found was when you're in central London and you see a guy driving down the road in a Ferrari or something. Generally, people in England are like, "Oh, look at that guy trying to show off." Or I'll just key that car on the sidewalk.
Wow.
Whereas you come to LA, people are like, "Wow, that guy's got a Ferrari. Like, I want to chat to that guy about how he's got there, find out how he's done it, because I respect that person for achieving something." It's almost like the positivity versus the negativity thing.
Right.
I mean, you're kind of taking it as like, "Oh, well, that person's achieved something that I think is amazing," as opposed to, "I'm jealous of that guy," kind of.
Correct.
Thing, which is it's a massive shift.
Yeah, I think I'm the type of person that if I look somebody who's really successful, I really like to know how he got there.
Yeah.
It'd be easier for me. It made my life easier, the process easier. Maybe most likely he knows a few things that I don't know, that I'm not implementing on either on my personal life or professional life, And I like to find out. I usually done that when I see people that I know that I'm following on Instagram and they're like really successful and everything. If I see them, before I would tend to say oh no, they're not gonna listen to me, or they're not gonna give me any time. But I was depriving myself of that opportunity. 100%. Nowadays, I say I'm Cesar Hernandez. I know that you're doing this. I like to have a time to chat with it. Sometimes I get even surprised. And Tim is like, okay, ask me what is it that you want to know? Yeah. Right there on the spot. And I'm like, okay, this is not hard,
Yeah, if you're saying no for them, they're never going to have the opportunity to say yes.
Right.
Whereas at least if you ask,
correct.
It's a 50-50.
Yes,
Who knows?
Yeah. And most likely, I got them the yes. Right there on the spot. Where they're like, okay, so what is the question?
Has that been an important part of your business?
Yes.
Because I presume there are a lot of developers in LA building luxury property.
Correct.
But it's not as if there's definitely a kind of a set amount. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They're all doing multiple projects, so you make that introduction to one of those guys, which I'm sure you've done. That really can open up massive doors for you.
Yes.
Which is kind of amazing. I think it's awesome. Actually, we need to stop talking. We're getting really psychological with this, which actually I absolutely love talking about, and I'm sure you guys are finding a lot of value. But let's maybe get to some more technical, actually kind of about stone and the trends and that kind of side of it. Because actually I haven't even asked you anything, one question. I just forgot to do that, Cesar. So, okay, right. Number one I was going to ask you was, emerging trends. Because actually we see in real estate, I think, massive evolving shifts in what people think is cool. Like you look at an 80s house.
Right.
Now people are like, however, you fast forward another 20 years, people are like, ooh, that's kind of cool. It's like 80s stuff. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So are there any emerging trends right now that you see in your main focus of work, like stone and that kind of thing? Because stone to me always seems almost timeless. People have used it always since the beginning of time to build things. So I feel like it's always going to be there. But is there changes now in what's popular? Because I know there was a lot of white granite was really popular a while ago. Now it seems people want more character.
Yeah, it's more character, but within the industry, there's a lot of modern homes going up now.
Yeah.
And the tendency is white marble.
White marble.
Yeah,
glass.
they're going Carrara, Italian Carrara marble, or Italian Calacatta.
Yeah.
Which are those will be like the top two.
Yeah, it's like you just know that name comes out of someone's mouth and you're like, ooh, it's nice.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I think I walk in sometimes because I don't have nearly the same knowledge at all of you about stone, and I just see something, I'm like, that looks good, it must be expensive. And then
Yes.
someone says Calcutta, I'm like, oh, okay, of course. But
Yes.
I don't really have any idea what that means.
Yes, well,
You know what I mean?
for instance, Carrara, you got some slab, or per square foot, you get sometimes, $40 per square foot.
Yeah.
And it can go all the way to 55 or
that
to
can-
65.
And that adds up
It,
quite a
it
lot.
adds up, you go to Calcutta, which is a premium, marble.
Yeah.
That can run all the way to like $150 per square foot.
And is it called Calcutta because of the type of stone or the location where that is?
Well, one of them is the location.
Okay.
It's Italian marble.
Okay.
And Italians, they're well known for fashion, good quality of workmanship,
Definitely.
excellent workmanship, and I believe that that's attracting, the high-end consumer
Okay.
or the high-end developers.
Yeah.
They want their projects to be chic, edge, and have the wow factor when they walk in.
Okay.
Most of the Calcutta, developers get the book match slabs.
Yeah.
And that just makes it. That gives it the wow factor. You walk in into a project.
And you know what I think it weirdly is? It's because you kind of always have like one chance of doing it. Because it's got to be two pieces of stone next to each other,
Yes.
split. And if you guys aren't out there, and listening to Book Match, that's basically where you take one kind of solid bit of marble or stone, you're cutting it into two pieces, and then you're
Right.
putting it there so the vein continues, almost like opening a book.
Yes.
As if both pages had the same thing on them in the book, you're opening it.
Yes.
So it's like the mirror effect.
Correct.
But you drop one piece of that marble and it's all ruined because the other one then doesn't match it.
Correct.
Has that happened before?
Correct. So there's a lot of high risk on getting one of the slabs
Yeah.
damaged.
And I think that like when someone sees it, they're like, oh wow. Like that's an element of why it's so special as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes also it gets when it's book matched, like
Yeah.
you said, when you open the book, there's more work, intense work into getting these slabs cut and matching. Even if you miss like a quarter of an inch
Yeah.
or a half an inch, the vein won't
It doesn't run straight, it's
continue.
like slightly off.
continue, and you can tell that they didn't do a good job.
Really?
We have a project right now where we're doing a facade of a house, and we're actually cladding the whole house with Sahara Noir. It's a black marble,
And it's insanely
and
expensive.
it's we gotta match the first level with the second level veins.
Oh,
It's just gonna be amazing.
so literally someone's going to drive down that. I mean, talk about curb appeal.
Yes.
Someone's going to drive down the street and
Yes.
see basically like a chunk of black stone because the
Yes.
marble it's running
Yeah,
through.
they made it in such a way, the design, that it's there is some elements of Italian porcelain
Okay.
too, so that it doesn't cloud it, but the whole thing with black, and it gives it a little edge modern look because it has the white porcelain.
That to me seems a bit like timeless almost.
Yes, it's gonna be amazing because not only it's 2 slabs, but we had like 24 slabs, and they all have to book match. So it was.
Hold on. So if you drop one of those,
That's it.
what happens to the other 23? Then
So-
you just say sorry, they're going to
Well,
go
no,
to
at that
someone
point-
else, or sell them on to like a smaller project, maybe, or.
Well,
Try
at
and
that
figure
point,
out.
there's like no points of mistakes. It's like you're gonna be like really organized.
I like that. You're just saying
because
we're just not going to make a mistake.
Yes.
It's not what happens if
There's
we have
no
a
room.
mistake. We're just not making one. So
There's
that's
no
fine.
room. There's no room for mistakes. We have to handle that with care, with actually with appreciation of this stone. Because sometimes this stone comes from Turkey,
Yeah. And you're
from
waiting
Egypt,
time.
from India. There's a whole process behind it. They get shipped in a container. It takes 2 months to get to the port in LA.
So that means, okay, if you mess it up and the consumer's like, I want it redone completely, you'd have to wait 2 months to get the stone delivered back again. So you're
Right.
basically just sitting there thinking.
We had a couple of events. We haven't run into that many situations. We had a couple of events where we like air ship the slab,
Yeah.
and the shipping was more expensive than the slab.
What?
Yes, because we needed to finish the project in time.
Oh, so you're kind of like rushing it to try and
so
get
we
it.
rushed it. Like
That is
I believe it was like
incredible.
3-day air or something like that.
What
So
about insurance? Do you need to take that out on the stone before you ship it, or is the person
Yes.
delivering it to you doing that?
Well, usually for developers, they have such a network that they're buying their own stone. So we just providing the service of installation.
Yeah.
For the homeowner, or when a designer is involved, an architect, a designer is involved, and there's not a developer, there's more like they're building a house for the end consumer, for the homeowner.
Yeah.
Then we come into play where we can, buy and help the customer choose their stone, the stone they like.
So then you
whether
have
it's
to
marble.
arrange that
Correct.
side of it.
And then we arrange that for them.
Because that must be, I mean, that just sound crazy. Because I can imagine, like, international shipping, I always hear about damaged packages.
Yes.
So you think, okay, it's a big, very fragile piece of stone.
Correct.
That could crack quite easily if it's dropped or moved in the wrong way.
Yes.
So
Yes,
that
it is.
kind of...
So usually when the developer, like in one of the projects that we did, the developer had 28 containers of marble. One of the containers was all broken.
So someone had dropped it and just kind of...
Yes. So it was 48, actually 56 slabs that got broken. Fortunately, it was not a book match job.
Okay, yeah, because I mean...
Because it would have destroyed the whole job.
Do you do that in terms of things, if someone's shipping stone, the book match pieces should be together, almost? Because I suppose if you had one book match piece in this container and then one in that container, that one gets destroyed.
Right.
You basically just got an unbook matched.
Yeah, it has to come together. And then
Okay.
it's usually the way it is. We have 10 slabs or 14 slabs. It comes one on one bundle. And they wrap it, like, strongly with
Insane.
wood, with bubble paper, tape. It's, like, really well taken care of. But when you're shipping stuff and it's on the, out on the open seas, with the ships moving and rocking, the material, gets, not, how could I explain it? It's delicate, and sometimes where the veins are, it gets small crack or a small fracture.
Slightly separating, but not fully
Yes,
cracked.
you cannot actually see it
Wow, okay.
from a customer perspective. Since we've been in the stone business for quite some time, we can tell that it's to the point where it needs to be taken care of. At that point, we have to take it to the shop and reinforce those
Underneath,
slabs.
that kind of thing.
And on the back, we make grooves and we put metals and we put epoxy so that the slab doesn't come apart.
Wow.
Which is another part that, when you see the project, you just see the beautiful
Yeah,
work,
the outside.
the beautiful, yes. But at the shop, we go through a lot of pains,
Yeah.
growing pains, with the jobs, with the projects, where like we have to put like grooves, metal bars. And
That needs to be
epoxy.
something that we need to get Johnny to film.
Yes.
Doing all the grooves and the stuff.
We're gonna
in the
be
back
doing
of it.
we're gonna be doing a process during one of
Because
our
I imagine
projects.
that must be kind of awesome to just see that and then see it installed
Yes.
as like the finished product.
My guys don't like it that much, but
Oh, really? Yeah.
yes, because it's just like an extra work, and then if it breaks, they're gonna get blamed for it. So I try to have like an understanding when the slabs come that way. It doesn't happen that often, but from time to time you get a shipment that it's a delicate marble, it's fragile, and you get like fractures in it. Not totally in two pieces, but you can see the fractures, and then you have to.
Is that by sound? You can always hear it by touching it because you know that it's not fully together, or you just have to like be able to see.
You just gotta be able to see, and you cannot see them because it's usually on the vein part.
Yeah.
So it doesn't come apart, But it'll be like a hairline within the vein, not noticeable to the eye.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is crazy.
So with that, okay, so there's a lot of white marble going up. There's a lot of glass that we're seeing. Kind of, I've seen a lot of just glass boxes with white marble floors.
Yeah,
to be honest.
polished marble.
Polished marble. Do you think that that's going to continue to be a trend and just kind of always be there?
I think nowadays we're looking at an increase on the usage of that marble, but it has always been one of the top sellers.
Yeah. Okay.
Calacatta is Italian Calacatta, gold Calacatta.
Yeah.
The gold Calacatta is a polished white marble with gold veins.
Yeah.
On it. It's like really, it has a lot of high demand.
Do you think that there's going to be, because obviously do you think that's just timeless then? If someone out there's listening, they're saying, I'm going to do a house, I'm not sure which stone to put in it, but I may sell it in 5 years. Would you just say kind of going with white marble?
Correct.
It's always going to be, people are going to like it to some extent.
Right, especially in modern homes.
Yeah.
And I've seen a high construction on modern homes.
Yeah.
And I believe that that trend is not going to stop.
No.
You know?
It may get a bit more popular, a bit less popular. It's always going to be there.
Correct. I mean, it's gonna go. I believe just like any other architectural style. You know,
Yeah.
French contemporary had its time. People were building French contemporary homes.
Yeah.
Tuscan villas, the
Yeah.
Spanish. Now we're seeing the trend on modern homes. But I believe they're here to stay. Maybe not has such a high demand, but they're always gonna be around.
Yeah.
So there's always gonna be that demand for white marble.
Minimal modern style
Yes.
will be there at some point.
Minimalist.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's really interesting. So, what about kind of, have you seen then more, you know, because I kind of have seen when we've been walking through properties that like the standard just white
Yes.
is less common now almost. It seems like someone wants something that makes it stand out in some way, whether that's grey veins going through
Right.
it or what was the, some of the fireplaces I'm seeing like a lot more of that now. It's almost you want the veins to be able to see so you
Right.
can tell the book match.
Right.
Is that been the same? Is that just been the last couple of years that's been, or is that similar where actually
It
it's
has
always
happened before too, but
Really?
I think that the trend now is just like it's at the prime time.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
it's just getting a lot of attention and people are liking it, and our high-end clients
That's the
can
one.
pay for that product
Yeah.
as well because, you know, sometimes we do other homes that are not on the high-end spectrum, let's say less than 20 million,
Yeah.
less than 10 million, and the customer wants those type of,
Finishes.
you know, the kind of finishes, stones, polish, hone. But sometimes when you tell them the slabs, you know, your kitchen and your countertops to the house is gonna be, you know, 20 slabs, and each
Yeah.
slab is like $5,000. Now you're looking at $100,000 just on the material alone. So sometimes they try to like move away from that
Yeah.
when the budget is not there.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, so that just sounds insane when you're doing it at that scale. Okay, so what about obviously the locations of where you're buying the stone from, or the stone is coming from for the projects? Presume that obviously we're kind of talking about Italy and like there's a huge amount of.
Right.
Have you seen that we have done in like other industries like technology and those kinds of places emerging of like China and.
Yes.
So there's now a lot of stone coming from that part
Correct.
of the world? Okay.
Correct. It is also coming from China. I would say that they have a great product as well,
Really?
but it won't compare to the Italian marbles.
Is that the quality of product or just the name attached to it?
No, the quality.
Quality, okay.
The quality. Usually, you know, the marbles, the Italian marbles that we work with, they're easier to work. They're more dense. They're more solid, so it makes it easier to work with.
Do you think that's just the stone in that part of the world for whatever reason? It's just a denser
I
stone, or
would
it's how they
think-
create it?
I would think it has to do also with the workmanship.
Yeah. Okay.
Sometimes the slabs you can tell that they're like an 8 thinner,
and
you
then they
know,
break a little
and
bit
then
easier.
they're more fragile, or
Yeah.
they tend to break a little bit easier, just like you said. And I think that you know, the developers that are on the other end of the spectrum, where like it's not high end,
Yeah.
you know, they're getting the type of material in their kitchens or in their countertops or their water features,
Yeah.
or any area of the house that they want to work with, but then they don't have the budget to go with and purchase the Italian products. And
What
so
about
you
the
see a lot
one?
of those.
Because I'm seeing some of that before, and actually I didn't see it as much. But Ennis, who's joined us on LA Mansion Tours quite a bit,
Yes.
has walked into a couple of the projects, and he's kind of been like, because we've talked about how developers really they just want to make the money. So
Right.
they'll buy a product that almost looks like the Carrara marble,
Correct.
but is not Carrara marble. Is half the price, but kind of has the same kind of look. I presume they just don't age as well. They're not going to be. It's not just you're paying for the name.
No, well, within the marble industry, you
Yeah.
have different grades.
So that's where it's more going to be is
So-
like the grade as opposed to.
Correct.
Okay.
So you want to get a consistent veins, beautiful product, high quality,
Yeah.
great workmanship. You're gonna pay. You're gonna pay more, and and it's grade A, B, and C. C being cheaper product.
Yeah.
Maybe the veins are not as defined on the slabs.
Okay.
And you're doing your tours. You can probably tell some of the houses some of the houses or projects that you walk in. See the same product, but
Because I think that's the thing, isn't it? We think like, okay, the person that's going to buy the house from the developer, they walk in and they're seeing the whole product finished and done, and they're like, oh wow, that's nice, that's nice, that's nice. They're not
Correct.
thinking, oh well, is that the top of the line? This necessarily. Whereas when you're building your own thing,
Correct.
you're making the decision on every single piece yourself. So I
Correct.
presume a lot of those guys are like, I'm only going for the best when it's a $10 million plus house.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. I've seen that a lot of developers have their own interior designer, and sometimes the interior designer is the one that calls the shot as far as the materials are concerned. But you're right. Sometimes the developer is looking at the numbers, at the budget, installing a product that maybe is not as high in quality because they gotta meet, the budget.
Definitely.
And like you said, the customer that is buying it, they don't have an idea if it's the $5,000 slab or if it's the $1,500 slab.
What about this then? Okay, so obviously you're paying for the grade or whatever it is. Yes, it's going to look nicer. It's going to be thicker, maybe all of that kind of thing. Is there any real differences? Say the end user goes for the $5,000 slab, the developer goes for one at $2,500. Fast forward 40 years. Do they look any? Do you know what I mean? Like, does one hold its look better, or is it just stone? So effectively,
I think that if it's in the exterior, the material that is higher quality will last longer.
Really, okay.
But eventually it will need a lot of maintenance. Yeah. That's where the other trend that we're looking into the industry, it's the usage of porcelain.
Copying the look of it.
Copying the look of
but it's man-made.
Yes, of the natural stone, but it's man-made, and it comes with veins, and they're doing porcelain, Italian porcelain also. There's some USA porcelain as well coming out as well, really strong. I'm seeing that trend more in the commercial side, where like you had to put a facade on a skyrise building, maybe in downtown, and then instead of having marble, you go nowadays in the buildings that got built back in the 1970s, 1980s, they have marble, but you can tell that have to take, with time and the elements of the weather, it takes a toll. And you cannot have a crew, constantly cleaning it, constantly maintaining the stone. So a lot of those developers are going more into made materials, like porcelain.
But porcelain to me, because I'm just thinking of like a coffee cup almost.
Right.
That seems to me like it's easy to break. Is that not the case though, presumably, because it's like a construction porcelain?
Correct. Well, it's not the case because the porcelain comes in different grades, different thicknesses.
Okay.
And nowadays with technology, they have improved,
density
of it. There's a great material out there, done by Costantino. The company Costantino, it's Decton. Decton is made of 3 ingredients. They heat it up at like a really high temperatures, and you have glass, porcelain, and quartz.
Wow.
And a lot of homeowners are using it on their kitchens. Because basically, like if you're cooking and you have like a really hot pan, you can actually put it on top of the Decton and it won't burn.
Yeah. Or like, when you're spilling things, it's not going to soak into the actual...
Correct. Like if even if you're just like having a couple of, glasses of wine, and you leave the wine, and sometimes, the wine pours outside and it's like a ring. Yeah. If you put it let's say on a Calacata stone, which is like really expensive, and you leave it overnight, you're gonna get a ring because the acidity is gonna burn into the surface of the marble.
We've actually had that, and same with concrete as well, isn't it?
Yes,
it's so porous.
Because it's soft.
We had a client we leased out their property, and when they got it back, they had a concrete dining table. And then the people that were using it, obviously they're like not thinking, I can't put a wine glass on this. So when they got it back, it's just rings everywhere on it.
Correct.
So the owner's like, what the hell is this? Damage deposit, I want it, because,
Correct.
It's an expensive table. But I can imagine with stone, it's kind of exactly the same.
Correct. And Decton, it's not as, it's not cheaper.
Yeah.
But it's just a higher quality product that they have developed.
Similar price.
And it brings, I think, for the client that doesn't want to deal with the hassle of restoring, resurfacing, maintaining it, because if you're using the real marble, you're gonna have to do that. You're gonna have to maintain it. You're gonna have to.
So there's an extra cost that you got to factor in.
So it's an extra cost. So I usually talk to clients and say how many years are you gonna live in this house? Are you gonna live 10 years? Then you might as well put something that you're gonna be happy about it, and
it's gonna be looking the same in 10 years.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. Do you have kids? That's another thing. When you have kids, then you might want to go for the first few years with a quartz or Decton or any other dense material.
Once they move out, change it out, and do you?
Correct. Or once the kids, they're like grow up, then you can move to more expensive
materials. Okay, what do you think then? Because this is pinging my head a little bit on, the floors, Mame Corian, is it? not corium. Is it? It was really popular, I think, in the 80s. It's almost that really hard. It's like man-made floor. It's got little kind of sparkly things that they.
Terrazzo.
Yes, I think so, because I've seen recently.
It's coming back.
It
a lot
is,
of people
yeah.
are doing. A lot of people are doing it too.
And personally, and like, don't put this out there if any of you have one of those floors. I don't like it.
Me neither.
But
I share your same opinion, because I don't think that I like it, because in my mind, terrazzo is being used like at the airports and a lot of other commercial
it's
sites.
very hard wearing, isn't it?
Even though they're using it, they use it at a couple of residential projects, and I look at it and I like love the way it looks, but it's just something I can like digest, because in my mind it's just like more commercial than.
Well, weirdly, it takes me back to when I first started in real estate. One of the first lessons that was most important, I think, that I learned is when you're going on showings, you relay to the client, observations about the property, but not in your own taste. You don't presume anything.
Right.
Assumption is like the mother of all f-ups, as a lot of people say.
Right.
So like, there's been my first like early days of showings, I'd walk in and be like, oh yeah, don't worry about that window, it's fine. And they'd be like, what do you mean? I love that window. And I'm like, oh crap, you know what I mean? Like, you're always putting negative things on that.
Correct.
So I've had ones where I've shown them here and I'm like, oh yeah, you could change the floors, and they're like, I love this floor, and I'm like, okay, just don't say that.
Just don't say it.
Because like, what is my opinion? And actually, weirdly, that translates into social as well. Like, the one pictures that I put up, and I'm like, this is not as good as the normal stuff, seems to do way better than everything else.
Has that happened?
Yeah. So we had one on TikTok. It hit 2.5 million views last week.
Wow.
And it was the worst one I thought I put up.
Wow.
I'm like,
it's a lot of views.
This is crazy. Yeah.
2.7.
2.5 million. It's got 190,000 likes on it.
Wow.
That is like, it's a weird like space, because obviously at the moment apparently every kid's on TikTok.
Right.
But equally there's a huge creative element to it.
Wow.
And
Did you ever expect that was going to happen with that?
No. It was like the opposite. I was like, oh, this one's fine. I was like rushing, and I'm like, oh, you know what, I'll just put one out, because it's kind of better to have that consistency than waiting another 2 days so I don't have time to do this. And then suddenly it's like, boom, just blows up. But I think that is the case, and I suppose in your job that's really important, because you can't walk in and advise the client about this ugly stone when they turn around and say, oh, that's gorgeous, I want to have that in my house.
Correct. No, you're right. I usually go there as a consultant.
Yeah.
And see what their ideas are and what is it that they want to do.
Okay.
I give them a suggestion, like on like with the marble. They say like, oh, you know what, we're buying this house, we're gonna sell it in a couple of years, and then I give them the cons and pros and have them decide what they want to do. Okay. Because at the end they're the ones that are gonna live there. They're gonna be looking at the stone. I would hate to come and suggest something that I personally like, and then they'll be like, okay, I don't think that he made the best decision for us.
I'm thinking every time they wake up in the morning, they grab a coffee, walk to the kitchen, they're like, oh God, Cesar, what did you do to my kitchen?
Correct, yes. So I try to find a middle ground with them where like I can find their needs and suggest them what best for that they want.
So is that the case? Okay, so obviously with developers, we've kind of talked about how different that is, but with an end consumer, do you kind of just go into the first meeting and ask them a load of questions, or how do you get the information from them to kind of give that feedback?
Usually they have a designer.
Okay.
Even though they're calling the shots at the end, but they have a designer to help them out, you know, to choose the materials, the different materials. They're going to have wood, they're going to have stone, they're going to have curtains. Okay. So they have an interior designer that is going to make the whole thing flow and for the house to look like, to have a good vibe and a good style. I usually deal with the designer. And the designer usually tells me and asks me, we meet with them, we have a meeting with the client. Yeah. I'm just like taking notes, writing questions that I want to have for the designer or for the end consumer, for the owner. And at that point, we have a second meeting with the designer at their office or one of the projects, that they have. We meet, we go about all these questions, send them an email, these are the questions that I have, these are the concern. I heard the customer said they're only going to live 2 years. They want to live because they're from overseas. They're going to stay here. They're planning on renting the house. Yeah. I don't think it's a good idea to spend, if they're on a budget, $50,000 on Calicut slabs or Carrera slabs or any type of marble that is delicate, and that when they leave they're going to have to change again if they're planning on renting the house. Okay. So that's where I bring my 2 cents, and my value to it. And the designer usually, they usually are aware, but maybe at that point they're not like thinking about that.
Yeah.
So when I bring that to them, they usually appreciate that. Oh, thanks for bringing that.
You're
to
bringing
me.
the practical
Right,
side as opposed to the let's create this amazing thing.
Right. So then they go back to the customer and say, like, we asked the customer. They said that they're not, they don't really care about
This
the
is
budget.
going to cost you 400,000. Are you sure you want to do this? What, 400,000? Okay, let's rework.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's where, like, I think the value that we provide as a company comes in. Even with the developers, I usually have meetings with them at the job sites.
Yeah.
At the initial stage of development, when months before we even get started.
Yeah.
Sometimes I go there with the project manager who's going to be in charge of the project, and I ask them questions too because they're the ones handling the project day to day.
Yeah.
So I tell them, listen, they're trying to put this material in this bathroom. What do you foresee? And then he starts saying, you know what? I see this pipeline that we bring the plumber in, and the plumber is like, oh no, there's no way. There's a beam that I'm not gonna be able to get the plumber in here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get it through here, so we're not gonna have a flat wall. So now they have to bring the wall out and build it to put the slab or not. But these are challenges that we bring
Constantly,
to the developer ahead of time, and they appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they don't want to be sat there when the marble arrives thinking, what are we going to do?
Right. Or in this case, like, we go there, we, prepare the walls, float them, get them ready, and then we do the wall, not like evenly, like flat. And he's going to come to us and like, who told you to do that? We can certainly say, like, well, that's the way the wall was.
Yeah, we suggested
so we
this.
Right.
Yeah.
So we like to bring the value before and that type of information so they can make a wise decision.
Okay.
And have the opportunity to tell their framers or their plumbing guys, you know what, is there any solution that you can give us?
Yeah.
Or can we further the wall out so that we can get the same effect? Maybe they're reducing the bathroom or whatever area they're working on by 3 inches, 5 inches,
But it's
10
worth
inches.
it to get that finish.
But at least they have the decision, and the
make.
time to do it.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, literally this time has just been running away, and we're already over an hour right now, Cesar, which I feel like we need to have you back for another 5 different episodes because we could continue chatting, I think, all day non-stop, which is kind of awesome. But actually, I think listeners out there, obviously, we're talking about multitasking, and maybe it's good to keep this to an hour. So I want to just round it off with one last question.
Sure.
Right. So obviously you do a huge amount of projects. You do commercial, you do developer, you do end user. Has there ever been a project that you've worked on which has been your favourite?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I believe.
I was literally expecting you to turn around and be like, oh, actually, that one was good, but this one, there's actually a favourite one.
Yes, and it's actually the latest project.
Really?
They got done in the Bel Air area. I believe you visited that. I saw that your elite tour mentions.
Yeah.
The one on Bentley Circle
Bentley
in Bel Air.
Circle. Literally, I remember walking into that property with Ennis.
Yes.
And literally just being like, this is awesome. Because we've discussed this actually before when we've had coffee, but that guy, he's almost the perfect middle ground. Developer.
Yes.
However, it was his first major project.
Correct.
So you've kind of got the best of the developer world and the best of the end user.
Correct.
Because, I don't know, like, if any of you guys are out there, I can't remember the number, but look up the details on Bentley Circle in Bel Air. So it was on the list market at 48 million. I'm not sure exactly what it sold for. I probably shouldn't disclose that. But, oh my God.
Yes, it was a piece of art in itself.
And so was that like your favourite because of the end product and how it was? Or was it working with the people you were working with and the vibe around it? Or
It was both.
Okay.
It was both. The developer, even though it was his first project, I believe he used some of the best quality materials out there, and he was actually constantly involved in the project.
Yeah.
So it made everybody to bring to raise the standard, and it was just like the end. It was just like fantastic. It was just a great project.
And it's weird because I remember walking into that property and it's not like I could say with my eyes, oh, I looked at that piece of stone or that finish or that wooden kind of beam and that's definitely the better version. It was almost, I just walked in and I was like, you could just tell.
Yes.
It's the feeling of it as opposed to me being like, oh, well, that's the most expensive one. This guy must be good. Everything just went together.
Correct.
There was no issue where you were like, oh, hold on. Is that cool, quite straight, or you know, whatever it is.
I love the pool, right?
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
So you guys did the pool on that as well?
No, we didn't do the pool.
Okay.
We did all the deck on the exterior. The
Yeah.
pool, you know, he had his own pool contractor that he knew for years already, so he came.
Yeah, you did it.
Darn.
Because that one would have been a good
Yeah.
one for the website.
I know, it
Oh
would have
my
been one of
God.
those. But it was great. They did a great job. You know, they did a great job. It's, you know, I believe, you know, it's a pool that, like they mentioned, the size of the Pacific Ocean is huge.
And like the purview of it, because it really just matches the edge of the view.
Yes,
So I can
yes.
imagine. Okay, what about this? Because this is, I know they said this is the last question, but we can just continue going. Does the developer ever say to people, I presume no, because there's so many people working on that project, that you could have a swim in that pool at the end of the project?
At the end of the project, no, I don't recall it. I would have been the first one to jump
I mean,
in
because
there.
I was going to say, like, the amount of guys that have been working on this pool, creating it, whatever, like, if I was building it, I'd kind of be like, all right, guys, don't tell anyone. But just have a
I
little
believe
jump in
it's just
and
sold, but they haven't taken possession of the house, so
But they haven't.
we might still be able to do that, right?
Oh my god! Imagine that, Johnny. If we managed to get like us filming diving into the pool, me in a suit as well, into my
Oh my goodness.
But that is awesome. So that is really cool to hear. And actually, like, I just think I'd actually like all of you guys listening your feedback on that, because it was the one actually where we have gone through, documented, filmed it,
Yes.
and the amount of comments that we got. I think it got the same amount of likes or whatever it was, but it obviously hit a vibe with people, because people were like, oh my god, that's amazing, this is amazing, what is this, da 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 da.
Yes,
And
I
you tell
believe
it.
also it was like a record that when they had like their broker open house.
Yeah.
It was like the most brokers that showed up.
Yeah.
On that particular project.
And it's not like one of these ones which goes on the market above 20 million and sits there for 2 years, which you
Not
kind
at
of factor it in, because you think
Right.
there's not a huge pool of buyers that can buy a property for 20 million. Therefore, you're not thinking, right, we're going to sell it in 2 weeks. Like, that one was off in less than a month.
Yes. Yes.
Which
Yeah,
is just awesome.
It was just amazing. I really feel proud of that project.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel proud of all the projects, but that one specifically because it's my favorite.
Just so good.
Yeah.
All right, Cesar, well, thank you so much for joining us. So if everyone out there wants to ask you any more questions, I know that your phone is going off non-stop constantly, so it may be quite difficult to get hold of you.
Yes.
Where should they follow you? Write a comment, DM? Are you open to that kind of thing?
Definitely.
Yeah?
Yes. They can follow us on Instagram.
Instagram? What are they doing there?
CAD_Stone.
Okay, so CAD_Stone, and then literally that's on Instagram, so they can go follow you there.
Right. They can actually send an email.
And your website's CADstoneworks.com?
CADstoneworks.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
And guys, I'd recommend just going and having a look, because recently I've been seeing some of the posts you've been putting up of like being in one of these insane projects.
Oh yes.
Oh, and I mean, like, it really
We
like,
have some great projects in
Yeah.
Bel Air right now. I believe in the next 2-3 months, we're gonna be running like 10 or 12 projects.
12 projects,
Yes.
which I don't think sounds mental, but then when you factor in the fact of the scale, the square footage of
Yes.
these projects, it does become pretty crazy.
It does.
You know what's going to be awesome, Cesar, I'm just thinking, is in 50 years, if you're driving through Bel Air, being able to be like, oh, did that one, did that one, did this
That
one.
would be amazing.
It's going to be pretty sick.
It's just like it would be like a test of time.
I think what we need to do is get like a Google map of like Bel Air, Beverly Hills, or whatever.
Pin it up.
Yeah, red dots on each one.
That would be amazing. I
Just
never
build
thought about
it.
that.
That's going to be sick. Do it on the wall. But anyway, thank you so much,
Thank
Cesar.
you.
Yeah, if any of you guys out there and you enjoy watching LA Mansion Tour, seeing it, and actually getting a little bit more of the actual technical side of it, because I think there's a huge amount of value in that. Like, I very much give the, wow, look how amazing this is, but
Right.
actually what it takes to get this stuff done and what is popular and current. Go and follow CADstone on Instagram. And I need to get you on TikTok soon. And we
Definitely.
may actually, guys, as well, we've discussed this, but I don't want to put Cesar on record of this, but we may be able to go and visit some of his projects potentially before they're done. So
Yes.
I think that could be really cool, doing the before and after on
That would be
Avalanche
really
tours.
amazing because
Yeah.
then we get the guys on action.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when they're moving like a 800, 700 pound slab
Yeah.
to be
and
able to
everyone's
to the
sweating,
second
don't
level.
drop this thing.
Yes, I usually don't like to be there during that time because I get a little stressed out.
Yeah.
And my guy said that I stressed them a lot, but you know, I gotta do what I gotta
I
do.
mean, that's it. Yeah, you've got to be there and do it.
Thank you so much, Ed.
Absolutely, mate. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'm hoping that we'll have some more content soon. It's
Amazing.
great to see you.
Thank you.
Bye.